We're on lesson 3.8, which is multiplying 4-digit by 1-digit numbers. And you'll notice it's going to be the exact same thing pretty much as what we did yesterday. When we had numbers like this, the only thing that's different is we're just adding an extra place value. We're just adding that thousands, but it's going to be all the same steps. And as luck would have it, that's actually what the first question talks to us about. It says, how is multiplying a 4-digit number like multiplying a 3-digit number? Well, you use the same steps. You use the same process. You use the same method of multiplying. And what does that mean? We also use the same method of regrouping and adding any extra tens, hundreds, and in this case, thousands. So this is why we want to know our multiplication facts well, because it's going to make this process much easier. Now question number 2, it says explain when you would not need to regroup any hundreds into thousands when multiplying a 4-digit by a 3-digit number. So it says it's 4-digit. So just so we can see an example, here's a 4-digit number, 4, 2, 3, 5, times a 1-digit number. So it's asking me, when would I not need to regroup any hundreds? Well, notice here, here's my hundreds. 5 times 2 is 10, so I'm regrouping here. But is there ever a time where I don't need to put anything in this top portion? Well, let's check. If this 5 becomes a different number, something smaller, like a 3, well then 3 times 2 is 6, and notice there'd be nothing to regroup up there. So that's our key. When our number, our answer, our product is less than 9. So let's use that for our basis for our explanation. It says, we do not regroup hundreds into thousands when there are 9 or less hundreds, meaning when this number times this number is less than 9. Now let's head on to our practice problems with the drilling, which used to be called drill and kill because you would just practice them till you got it. Now our first one, you'll notice it has those boxes to fill in. So that's what we're going to do. So our first one, we're going to do in black ink. 4 times 1 is 4. Then we go to our next place value. 4 times 8 is 32. So I put the 2 down, carry the 3. Then I go to my hundreds. 4 times 3 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. So I regroup. Now our next one is 4 times 5 is 20. Plus 1 is 21. So there's my answer, 21,524. Same thing over here. 5 times 6 is 30. Regroup. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 3 is 8. 5 times 2 is 10. Regroup that one. And lastly, 5 times 8 is 40. Plus 1 is 41. 41,080. Heading off to number 5. 6 times 4 is 24. Regroup that 2. 6 times 3 is 18. Plus 2 is 20. Regroup that 2. 6 times 7 is 42. Plus 2 is 44. Regroup that 4. And lastly, 6 times 9 is 54. Plus 4 is 58. 58,404. Number 6, same thing. 7 times 2 is 14. Regroup that 1. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 1 is 8. Nothing to regroup, so we go to 7 times 5 is 35. Regroup that 3. And lastly, 7 times 7 is 49. Plus 3 is 52. 52,584. Now for some more of our practice. We're going to use that same steps. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 4 is 12. Regroup that 1. 3 times 8 is 24. Plus 1 is 25. Regroup that 2. And lastly, 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 2 is 5. Heading on to number 8. 2 times 9 is 18. Regroup that 1. 2 times 8 is 16. Plus 1 is 17. Then we have 2 times 0 is 0. Plus 1 is 1. And our last one is that thousands place value. 2 times 2 is 4. Now let's head off to number 9. 2 times 7 is 14. Regroup that 1. 2 times 7 is 35. Plus 1 is 36. Regroup that 3. 7 times 1 is 7. Plus 3 is 10. So I put that 0 down, regroup that 1. And lastly, 7 times 9 is 63. Plus 1 is 64. Number 10. 8 times 1 is 8. Next place value, 8 times 5 is 40. Regroup that 4. 8 times 4 is 32. Plus 4 is 36, so I regroup that 3. And lastly, 8 times 6 is 48. Plus 3 is 51. We have 3 more rows. There's lots of practice here because this is going to be a skill we're going to use for the rest of the year. What's nice about this one is it's going to be the exact same answer because 1 times anything is always the same. So this one, I don't even have to go through my steps because I know my properties of 1 being it's going to be the same answer. Headed off to number 12 now. We have 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. Regroup that 1. 6 times 7 is 42. Plus 1 is 43. Regroup that 4. And lastly, 6 times 8 is 48. Plus 4 is 52. Heading off to number 13. 3 times 8 is 24. Regroup that 2. 3 times 2 is 6. Plus 2 is 8. 3 times 4 is 12. Regroup that 1. And lastly, 3 times, but I didn't change that color. 3 times 1 is 3. Plus 1 is 4. 4,284. For number 14, 9 times 6 is 54, so I regroup that 5. 9 times 5 is 45. Plus 5, whoops, jumped on down. Plus 5 is 50, so I put that 0 down and I regroup the 5. 9 times 7 is 63, plus 5 is 68, regroup that 6. And lastly, 9 times 3 is 67, plus 3 is 33, for 33,804. 2 more rows. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 1 is 4. 4 times 6 is 36, so I put that 6 down, regroup the 3. And lastly, 4 times 6 is 24, plus 3 is 27. Number 16. 8 times 6 is 48, regroup that 4. 8 times 5 is 40, plus 4 is 44. 8 times 8, oops, but I didn't regroup, so I need to put that 4 from that 44 there. 8 times 8 is 64, plus 4 is 68. Regroup that 6. And lastly, 8 times 7 is 56, plus 6 is 62. For 62,848. Number 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Regroup that 2. 5 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. 5 times 0 is 0. And lastly, 5 times 4 is 20. For 20,025. We have just 5 more of these problems. 2 times 4 is 8. 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 6 is 12. Regroup that 1. And lastly, 2 times 1 is 2. Plus 1 is 3. 3,248. Number 19 now. 3 times 9 is 27. Put the 7 down, carry the 2. 3 times 3 is 18. plus 2 is 20. Regroup that 2. 3 times 5 is 15. Plus 2 is 17. Regroup that 1. And lastly, 3 times 4 is 12. Plus 1 is 13, for 13,707. Number 20, 7 times 6 is 42, so I regroup that 4. 7 times 4 is 28, plus 4 is 32. Regroup that 3. 7 times 1 is 7, plus 3 is 10. Regroup that 1. And lastly, 7 times 2 is 14, plus 1 is 15. 15,022. 4 times 2 is 8. 4 times 0 is 0. 4 times 0 is 0. And lastly, 4 times 1 is 4. 4,008. Now our last one of these before we get to those word problems. 5 times 1 is 5. 5 times 9 is 45. So we regroup that 4. 5 times 1 is 5. Plus 4 is 9. And lastly, 5 times 6 is 30. For 30,955. So now for our last one, being our last page. There are 5,280 feet in 1 mile. How many feet further is it to Pickens Corner than Hobbs Landing? Write and solve an equation to explain how you found the answer. Well, first what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw a model. It doesn't say for me to, but it's going to help me. So this is going to be my Hobbs Landing. And notice how it says it's 3 miles. So I'm going to break it up into 3 boxes. This is 1 mile, 2 miles, 3 miles. Pickens Corner is how many? Well, it's 9. So that's going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 miles. And it's asking me how much further, how many feet further, which means we're looking for the difference. These are the same, so we're going to ignore those. It's like we're cutting them off, and now we're seeing how much is actually left. So we're looking at that. Well, that's 6. So that means there's 6 more miles left. That's how much further it is. But it's not asking me for miles, it's asking me for my feet. So I need to take each of these and change them to feet. 5,280, 5,280. You can zoom in, 5,280. But I don't really want to add 5,280 6 times. So I'm going to use my multiplication. So let's put that up here. 6 times 0 is 0. 6 times 8 is 48. Regroup that 4. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 4 is 16. And lastly, 6 times 5 is, but I did not regroup when I said 16. I need to put that up there. 6 times 5 is 30. Plus 1 is 31. So this is how many feet more it is. So I've done it. I've done feet. But it still has this part where it says, write and solve an equation. So I just have my work here. So I need to put it in equation form. Well, what did I do with my tape diagram? Well, I said 9, take away 3, because remember, that equals 6. And then I'm multiplying that by 5,280. And when I multiplied it by that, what did I get? I got 31,680. So right there is my equation. Now off to number 24. Describe the relationship between the 2's in 22,679. So how are those 2's related? Well, I know one's bigger than the other. And I know when I go from one place value to the next, it's 10 times as much. So I'm going to put that in. It's going to be 10 times as much. The 2 in the 10,000s place has a value 10 times greater than the 2 in the thousands place. So it's 10 times as big. Now let's head to number 25. It says there are 12,216 seats in the arena and 4,216 seats in the auditorium. How many more seats are there? Well, let's look. We have a total number, a big one, and this how many more means it's a subtraction. We're finding the difference between them. So I'm going to subtract, and notice what's nice. All of these numbers are the same, which means they're going to be 0, because I'm subtracting the same amount. Now I have 12 minus 4 is 8. So there's 8,000 seats more. Off to 26. Ooh, I like how they put a model for us. A restaurant sells 3,125 of its famous veggie burgers each month. At this rate, how many veggie burgers will be sold in 6 months? Well, notice they have 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months. So they are showing us in this model there's 6 of them. So we could either add each of these numbers together, which will probably take a while, or I can use my multiplication. So let's do that. We have 3,125, and we have 6 equal groups. So we're multiplying it by 6. So let's see what we get. 5 times 6 is 30. Regroup the 3. 6 times 2 is 12. Plus 3 is 15. Regroup that one. 6 times 1 is 6. Plus 1 is 7. And lastly, 6 times 3 is 18. So how many burgers will they sell? They'll sell 18,750 veggie burgers. There must be a market out there for that, because it's not me. I would not be eating those. All right. A semi-truck trailer has a load capacity of 25,900 pounds. That means this is how much it can carry. A trucker is asked to haul 5 crates on the trailer. Each crate weighs 4,450 pounds. Can the trucker haul all the 5 crates in one load? Well, this one I'm going to use a model because it's going to help me see what's going on. There's 5 crates. That means I have 5 boxes. And how big is each box? Well, it's 4,450. Does this look like some kind of problem that we've been working on? It should. Remember, when I have equal repeated groups, we can either do repeat addition or we can make that multiplication. So let's do multiplication. We have 4,450 times 5. 5 times 0 is 0. 5 times 5 is 25, so I put that 5 down, regroup the 2. 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22, so I regroup that 2. And lastly, 5 times 4 is 20, plus 2 is 22. So that's how much those crates weigh. So is this number less than this number? It is, which means our trucker can carry them. So this is going to be my sentence since it says explain. I'm going to put 5 crates weigh how much? They weigh 22,250 pounds. This is less than the 25,900 pounds the truck can carry. So yes, he can do it. Man, I didn't do a good job planning it. Do it in one trip or one load. So now let's head to our very last one. This is going to be, it's called the Common Core Assessment because it's going to be similar to what you'll see on the Common Core test being your SBAC. So the driving distance from Boston, Massachusetts to Colorado Springs, Colorado and back again is 4,084 miles. Salesperson has already made the trip back and forth twice. So that's a 2 for my number. Salesperson may drive 12,500 miles each month, so they can't drive more. That's the most they're allowed to drive. Can she make the trip again and remain below the monthly miles allowed? If so, how many miles will she have left for the month? So let's check. She has done the trip 1 time. She's done the trip 2 times. And we want to know how much it is for 3 times. So let's see how far the trip is for 3. So we have 4,084 times 3. I'm not going to use my colors because we practiced that enough. 3 times 4 is 12. Regroup the 1. 3 times 8 is 25. is 24 plus 1 is 25. Regroup the 2. 3 times 0 is 0, plus 2 is 2. And lastly, 3 times 4 is 12. So that's how far 3 trips would be. So let's start there. And we need to compare this number with the total allowed. So does she still have extra miles she could drive? Yeah, which means she can do this trip again this month. So now we need to do our explanation. It says, or we will say, the trip back and forth, and how many times? 3 times, is 12,252 miles. This means that she can do the trip this month with blank miles left. But we don't know how many miles left because we have to now subtract these. So we need to fill in that blank with how many spare miles does she have if she needs to go to like McDonald's or the drive-in movie theaters. Who knows what she's doing on her business trips. So we're going to subtract them. So we can't do 0 minus 2, so we need to go and borrow. So this will become a 10, so we can borrow and it changes to a 9. 10 minus 2 is 8, 9 minus 5 is 4, 4 minus 2 is 2. So she'll have 248 miles left. All right, guys, that's it for this lesson. Good job.